biggest thing you don't want to do, the most critical, important thing you don't want to do is use too much flavor wood. And that's what everybody does. They're either trying to burn with all wood or they're using too much flavor wood. On that little smoker of mine, I'm going to use 2 pieces the size of my fist. Remember I told you 140 degrees, it stops taking smoke, then it builds up on the outside and gets bitter and nasty, gives you indigestion. People say, well, I can't eat barbecue because I get indigestion. That's not why. They can't eat barbecue because it's over smoked and it's really bitter, okay? I've cooked barbecue for ladies that said, well, I can't eat barbecue. And I said, I bet you can eat mine. They ate it and they said, that didn't bother me at all. My daughter works at Dickey's, or used to work at Dickey's barbecue pit. You guys have them up here, don't you? No? They cook with a big commercial natural gas cooker. And they get their smoke by putting green hickory in it, all right? It's the worst thing they can do. And I told them when they started, they opened a store down in my neighborhood. My daughter worked for them for 2 years. She said, Dad, she said, they're using that green hickory. She said, I can't eat the food. It just gives me bad indigestion. And I turned my phone back on and checked the time, so excuse me. Never rings till I'm talking. So, lump charcoal is what you want to use. Get away from the briquettes. You know, don't use any lighter fluid. If you're using it, stop. You can use a charcoal chimney. They're a round chimney. I don't know if Dave has any here.
We have electric lighters.
This loop lighter that he's going to get out is an awesome thing. You might be a little bit impatient right at first because it takes a couple of minutes.
2 minutes.
Yes, I'll tell you what happens when you get impatient. You melt the end of it. So don't leave it in there too long, right, Chris?
I've been working.
But this works really good. It's clean, effective way to start it. I don't think it'll work on briquettes, but after tonight you shouldn't be using briquettes anyway. Okay? Like a big, giant curling iron.
Yeah.
You just push the button. But I left this end in too long when it was already started. It melted the end of it off at about 8
I set my timer the last time I did it, and it's 1 minute and 34 seconds till it's lit.
These run about $75.
Start them, but if you don't leave it in too long, they'll last a long time, right?
You just pile the charcoal up over top of it and light it, or do you just...
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of wedge it down in. And then start, as soon as it starts to glow and starts snapping the top of your back, back it out.
Okay? So use lump charcoal, try to use the good stuff. They got stuff coming out of Mexico. You know, did I tell you how about charcoal was made? Didn't, or you didn't send, yes. Made in big quantity. There's 12 of them down where our charcoal mill is. Big quantity, probably 60 foot wide, 120 foot long, 18 foot tall, 2 foot concrete reinforced with rebar. Has 2 big steel doors that open up so a semi can drive into it if it wants to. And it's very, very leak proof, okay? They pile that wood up and they're burning not cordwood so much, but they situate their kilns close to a mill that's milling out the big logs for dimensional lumber. And they buy when it's the outsides, when they're cut off, they're called slabs. And so buying those slabs are basically waste. They can't do anything else with them. So they'll pack those in there, stack them, cross them, get air between them, stack them clear to the ceiling. They got a little round sewer, I'd call it a sewer lid up on the top. They climb up on a ladder, they open that sewer lid, they take some little kindling and stuff, start that fire on the top, and it burns down and then around in a circle. And every 10 foot, there's a 4-inch square tube that goes from outside to inside. There's a wire that runs, there's a flap on the outside. They pull that flap up and run that wire through that pipe, that square tube, and they tie a 1x2 in it inside. So when it burns around, it burns that 1x2 tube. The flap shuts and shuts the oxygen off. So that's what you end up with. If they didn't have that, they would end up with this, or they would end up with nothing, like it'd burn all up. So the pieces range from this size to a little bit bigger. A lot of times there's going to be some dust in it that's going to fall down through your grates. Don't worry about it. That all burns up in the end. You know, you get littler pieces that fall down. Because that's where your real, you know, if you got a good one smoker, that's where your real fire is down in the bottom, you know, in the ash pan. But good charcoal, I mean, if you're going to go out and spend $35 on a brisket, why are you gonna scrimp and, you know, try to save some money by buying Walmart charcoal? The lump charcoals aren't regulated by the government, so you don't know what you're getting. I guarantee you, I've tried some, when I ran out, like if I was at a dealer's place and he didn't have charcoal and I thought he did, I had to go to Walmart and buy some. It doesn't work out. Buy a good charcoal. How much is your lump charcoal?
It's about $17 for a 20-pound bag.
That's about cheap as I've seen it.
But Rob, there was a guy in here that was using a lump charcoal, and he started using this, and he keeps coming back for this. He said that other stuff looked like chunks of 2x4s and 1x6s, and that's what they were putting in it.
That's what they're putting in it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you about the chunks of 2x4s and 1x6s and hardwood flooring that they're putting in it. I had a hardwood flooring company for 22 years. I went down and visited mills down, you know, down south, the hardwood flooring mills. They got big, huge parking lots, gravel parking lots outside the mills, and they take big pallets. I mean, 25-foot long slabs, you know, the actual slabs, the good ones that they're going to use, and they're probably 15-foot wide and I don't know how tall, 10-foot tall. And those have to sit out in their parking lot for a good bit of time to dry out a little bit before they actually do the final cure on them. And I'm talking several months. So they have a problem with the bugs eating them, you know? So what do they do with them? Pesticide. A lot of it.
Really?
Yeah. They spray them down with pesticide. So I don't know how much of that really gets burned up or how much of it's still in there. So stick with the good, clean lump charcoal. And I've seen the lump charcoal for $30 a bag. The
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you got us off for that though.
Same stuff?
Not ours, but Big Green Egg.
Well, that's what that other customer was using, and he wasn't happy once he seen this.
You know, it starts to become unreasonable at $25 a bag. Okay? But if you're keeping the price between 18 and 20, that's a good price. All right?
15.
Usually the farther you get away from us or anybody that has to distribute it, the more expensive it gets because of freight.
Yeah.
Okay? You get out on the West Coast, oh my God, it's $30 a bag.
Yeah.
So stick with the good lump charcoal. That's going to burn really clean. You're not going to be, if you go back and cook with lump charcoal one time, and then go cook with briquettes again, and I guarantee you switch back to lump charcoal.